Going live. Hello, YouTube world. Welcome once again to my miserable and pathetic little YouTube channel, Gordon Causey, coming to you live and unscripted from my little corner of southeastern Ontario, where regular viewers of all three of you, regular viewers expect Candy the Wonder Pup to show up. And here she is, because every time I do a video, she gets a TREAT treat. So give me your paw, lay down. Good, come up. There we go. And that buys me peace. Wanted to talk about what's in the news lately, the wildfire situation. I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks ago that this story first blew up, where large swaths of the industrial northeastern United States were being inundated with smoke from Canadian wildfires. And New York City in particular was one location that was apparently very severely impacted by this smoke. And now it seems that it's back. My little corner of Eastern Ontario, and I'm about the GTA, Greater Toronto Area. The eastern edge of it is Oshawa. That's where I put it. And then there's Kingston, Ontario. So if you know the geography, I'm about halfway in between. And the fires that are impacting now, they're saying that they're impacting, I haven't heard New York City or the industrial and northeast. What I'm hearing now is more of the Midwest, Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee. I've heard it's gone down to as far as Indiana and even Kentucky. I think Chicago is said to have had the worst air quality in the world today. Yet in my corner of Ontario, the weather wasn't that bad. The conditions were not that bad, but it's gotten progressively worse into the evening hours. So while Chicago was having the worst air on the planet, my little area wasn't that bad. Although tonight, just now, standing out on my back deck looking at the moon, and I think it's a little less than a half moon, and it's waxing. It's red. Orangey red in color, which is sometimes you see that low on the horizon, but now it's constant as it tracks its way across the sky. And I have a lot of questions, not many answers. I can only speculate, non-expert, not a meteorologist or anything of that nature. But I find it odd and something I question over the fact that these fires are said to be in northern remote Quebec and northern remote Ontario. Fair enough. That's an area north and northeast of me. And yet it seems like the air, and maybe this is an air circulation thing, I don't know, that it's going around us. Like it's either sweeping out to the west and going around the lakes, or sweeping to the east and doing likewise. And somehow the impact has not been as bad in my little area. So that's a questioning thing that I have. They are reporting that the air quality in my area is anticipated to be bad. Tomorrow it's supposed to be worse tomorrow than it was today. Today, during daytime hours, it wasn't bad. You kind of got the sense. I almost wonder that if there was nothing being reported, the degree to which people would notice. Because if I was asking myself today, if I wasn't aware of reports on air quality, would I have noticed the diminished? I did notice. I did sense it. Again, nothing nearly as bad as what it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But noticeable. but not as bad as what's being reported in cities like Chicago and Detroit and I think Milwaukee, the northern Midwest, but they say that it's going down as far as Kentucky. Now, getting back to a video that I put out on April 30th, and you're welcome to look back, anyone who wants to go and check it. April 30th, end of April, I did a video, and in that video, I made 3 predictions. The first of those 3 predictions was that at some point this summer, that I am predicting that we will see the declaration of a global climate emergency. I've since amended that to say perhaps they'll call it a war on climate change or something like that. And against the backdrop of, I could see that declaration being made by the World Health Organization, because they've amended their 2005 International Health Regulations, IHR, and now anything that is said to have an impact on health could be declared a health emergency. And then it opens up all kinds of new powers and authorities to the World Health Organization. And I can see it being used under the guise of so-called climate change. Now, I'm obviously going to be accused of being a climate change denier. There is no such thing as a climate change denier. I've never met one. Everyone knows that climate changes. I talk about it frequently on this channel, the fact that the planet goes through periods, cycles of warming and cooling, cyclical in nature. I've brought it up many times that from around the year 950 AD until sometime between 13 and 1400 AD. So for a 300-400 year stretch, somewhere in and around there, the planet went through a period referred to as the medieval warming period, when the ice sheets on Greenland rolled back to such a massive degree that the Vikings were actually able to establish settlements on Greenland. If you look at a satellite image of Greenland now, you see a massive ice sheet. Well, it rolled back huge during this medieval warming period, and that medieval warming period was followed by a period referred to as the Little Ice Age. We went from a period of global warming, climate change, to a period of global cooling, climate change, and then sometime in the 1700s, some say the early 1800s, that we entered this current warming period that we're in. And these periods can last 300, 400, even 500 years long. And so it can appear to be unnatural, because who has reference points going back 300, 400, 500 years outside of living memory? Oh my gosh, we've never seen anything like this before. Well, of course we haven't, because no one lives 300, 400, 500 years. So everything seems unnatural. In terms of the forest fires, the wildfires, whatever label you want to put on them, Canada, the United States, Russia, Australia, wildfires happen every single year. And yet, but we've never seen in this part of the world, in Eastern Canada, Central Eastern Canada, and Central Eastern United States, we've never seen this kind of impact from them before. And this is another one of my questioning points. Right now, it is said that thanks to a user on Twitter, shared a news article with me detailing the fact that there are apparently massive forest fires taking place in remote parts of Russia right now. So we have forest fires in remote northern Quebec and Ontario. We have wildfires taking place in remote northern parts of Russia. And yet I'm not seeing any reports coming out of Russia of major urban centers being impacted with air quality issues or anything of that nature. Not to say it isn't happening. Just because it isn't being reported on doesn't mean that it's not happening. But the degree to which this is human caused is the big question mark, because we've had, as I mentioned, we have had we have had wildfires every year in this country. They happen every year everywhere. Australia, Russia, Canada, the United States. What seems to be unusual this year is the extent and certainly the impact in terms of wildfire smoke. And there are 2 points I want to bring up. Number one is that the province of Nova Scotia used to have, and I've confirmed this, CBC News articles, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, that's Canada's government funded, it's our version of TASS, which is the Russian news agency. Well, Russia has TASS, we have CBC. And according to them, the term they use is heliattack crews that would go in by helicopter, crews of about, I think it was the article mentioned 5-member teams would be flown into remote, hard to reach locations in Nova Scotia. And there they would engage in fire suppression when a fire broke out, so to prevent it from blowing up and getting out of control. Obviously, like with many things, if you attack it early and effectively, you can stamp it out and prevent things from becoming far worse. That program, that heliattack program, under criticism from firefighting officials, was canceled. So that leads to the question, is this unprecedented, or is it simply that Canada, in provinces like Nova Scotia, have reduced their firefighting capability, and has that simply allowed normal activity, things that happen organically, naturally every year, are they just worse now because we're not suppressing the fires as much as we have in years past? The same thing happened in Alberta. And in Alberta, what they had were rappel teams. And from what I've read, it seems like it's just a matter of labeling. Alberta called them rappel teams. They would go in by helicopter, small crews, probably 4 or 5, like Nova Scotia, same activity. And again, that program was canceled. And when a fire starts in a remote location that's far away from a road or a landing strip where a plane could drop a crew, a helicopter is a vital tool, and having individuals who can rappel down or be deployed close by, go suppress the fire before it blows up into something. If you're not doing that anymore, things have the potential to get much worse. And firefighting budgets in the provinces of Ontario and Quebec had likewise been cut back. So I have to question, is it that we're just not fighting the fires as effectively as we have in years past? That's all water under the bridge. I still expect that there is suspicion among many, and I'm included in that number, who wonder if this is being orchestrated, whether this is being allowed to happen, so that the response, so that they can bring in an emergency, because an emergency allows governments worldwide to extend their reach. I think it was Ronald Reagan who said that the 9 scariest words in the English language are, well, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Some view the government as their savior. Others view the government as too often making things worse. Candy, lay down. She got herself a toy that makes noise. Sorry about that. I want to talk about one last thing before I wrap this up. I'll keep it under 20 minutes, and that's masking. You might be interested to know, because some people are being, apparently the province of Quebec is now going to be distributing N95 and KN95 type masks. Those are the really good ones, the ones that you're to wear tightly sealed to the face. So guys, no beards. If you're wearing a beard with a mask, that's more than ever, that is a shopping cart to carry sand in. So, I mean, if you want a mask to be effective, shave. If you're concerned. The thing is, now I sourced this information from, of all places. I did a Google search and it's what came up, and I'm good enough. I didn't care. It comes from the World Economic Forum of all places. And what they say is that smoke particulates in size range from 0.4 to 0.7 microns. That's the size. I mean, a micron is a micron. 1 micron is invisible. It's too small to be seen. A human hair is 4 or 5 microns in size or more. So we're dealing with invisible smoke particles. Can be, according to the World Economic Forum, 0.4 to 0.7 microns in size. And given that that's significantly larger than the size of SARS-CoV-2 airborne aerosol particulate. So, according to the World Economic Forum, the size of a SARS-CoV-2 airborne aerosol is 0.1 to 0.5. So smoke particles are bigger. And if you're using a barrier, bigger is better. But according to all the experts, they're saying that one of these isn't going to cut it for smoke particles. You need an N95, KN95, tightly sealed to the face. And I think it speaks to the lack of utility. I mean, if this won't stop, if they're saying that this isn't good enough to stop smoke particles, how is this going to stop a SARS-CoV-2 particle, an airborne aerosol that's even smaller? And besides which, with this type, which you still see people wearing, no one wears them properly. And even when they do, there are huge gaps at the side, at the top. You've seen the N95, KN95 types. Sometimes they look like a coffee filter. And if someone's wearing them properly, they're sealed right around their face. You have trouble hearing them talk because they're such a strong barrier, much stronger than this, which half the people I see wearing these, they wear it like a chin strap anyway half the time, and just yank it up and down and up and down and up and down. If these smoke particulates are dangerous, some are claiming they're carcinogenic or have the potential to be carcinogenic, meaning cancer causing. Well, I won't begrudge anyone wearing a mask, but if you want to be safe from smoke particulates, you're going to need to do better than this. And N95, KN95s, they're not cheap. I think each individual one that you put on is $1 or $2 each. And if you're wearing 2 or 3 a day, depending on how much time you're spending outside, I don't know how long you can wear one of those things, but eventually they don't last forever. And my rule of thumb, basically, I mean, I used to do gas hut training, where you go into a gas hut with tear gas and with a gas mask on. If there was any break in the seal, the rubberized seal around your would cover your eyes, nose, mouth, cover everything, cover your entire face. Well, if there was any break in that seal whatsoever, that gas, that tear gas, got in, and you'd be choking. And it happened to me. I put the mask on, blew out, sucked in, thought it was sealed tight to my face, went into the gas hut, but there was a very small gap somewhere, and my nose turned into Niagara Falls, and my eyes were watering like crazy, and I felt like I was going to cough up a lung. So challenging times with the air quality that we're seeing now. I just find it interesting that it's impacting Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit more than my little area, and I'm closer to the source than they are. But again, atmospheric currents, there might be a circular nature. Like my degree in meteorology, and it came out of a Cracker Jack box. So what do I know? I mean, it could be they've just done a circled around us somehow. They're saying that things are going to be bad tomorrow. I do think we're going to head to eventually. I think it's probably going to be later in the summer, but before this summer ends, I expect the World Health Organization is going to declare climate change a global health emergency. We're going to have a war on climate change. Goodness knows how it will be politicized. It will be branded. Like everything we saw during the COVID era. There's going to be a marketing budget. There's going to be propaganda. Misinformation and disinformation from official media, government sources is going to inundate us like it did. And most will believe what they're told to believe. Most will think what they're told to think. And most will feel the way they are instructed to feel. So I've already gone over 20 minutes. Now I'm at 22. So we'll keep it under 25. Thank you for watching. If you want to comment, please do. I don't mind being criticized. I don't claim to know everything. I would just simply ask any criticism be constructive in nature. And I am a climate change skeptic to the extent that I question the degree to which human activity contributes to climate change. I don't deny that the climate changes. My question is the degree to which human activity impacts it. And I am incredibly skeptical of the computer-based simulations, the models that have over the last 30, 40 years have always proven to be horribly inaccurate. If the climate change models that have been thrown at us for years, for decades, were accurate, there'd be no more ice up in the polar ice caps. Greenland would be ice-free by now. 2,000 climatologists in Britain were saying that in a few years, children won't know what snow is. It's fear-mongering. This past winter, children were tobogganing and building snowmen in Galveston, Texas. In a few years, children won't know what snow is. That was 23 years ago that prediction was made. And it's political. Climate change, I'm convinced, is simply a political agenda, and pay more money for better weather, as if that will work. So anyway, look forward to seeing if anyone, who knows, maybe no one will watch, whatever the case. We'll talk to you later. Probably do another one in a few days. Things are happening all the time. Talk to you again. God bless.